Okay, good morning, guys. This is Simon with Trade and Perform Coaching and ToughTrader.com doing the preview for ES for the 19th of September. Man, the month is flying right by. Just quick disclaimer, this is for educational purposes only. Past performance not indicative of future results. You can lose all your money trading derivatives. There's substantial risk. Make sure you understand the risk and you're willing to accept those risks. Mostly don't blow up, right? If you're trading poorly, stop. Right, that would be my primary suggestion. So the zones were posted up last night. Let's go ahead and jump in and look at the critical areas just from the profile. So number one, when we look at the profile, that is a P-shape short covering profile, right? That's as P-shape gets. The reason people think that's important is because often on a P-shape, you'll get an extension to the downside. However, when I talk to newer clients, they want that P-shape to end up looking like this, right? Where you get a P-shaped profile, you open up and you just end up with a trend day down and a big roll to the downside. That just doesn't always happen, right? So since we do have a P-shaped profile, what would it look like if it rolled lower is the first question I had on the day. And again, I don't think it's going to, but if it does, right? Notice so this is how this day opened in a look in 30-minute blocks. You'll see we opened up underneath the point of control for both the TPO and the volume profile, right? We got underneath, we opened up, we tested down into value area low, tested a little bit underneath, came back to, we attempted to retest this area. We couldn't get there, fell just short, tested underneath, came all the way back up. This had to be that had to be a Fed day, and I'll tell you the reason why I think that. Let's go look. Was that a Wednesday? 8:30. Wasn't a Fed day. It had to be some kind of news. But it's odd to get this long liquidation in the middle of the day, but that's what we ended up with. That looks like a 1 o'clock Fed day. It wasn't. So I have no idea why we long liquidated that day. But this is important, right? Just in terms of your mentality. If you came in thinking, oh, P-shaped profile, we're going to roll lower. Look how long it took to actually get a significant roll to the downside. It was really ended up being a balanced day. And what the market was trying to fix on that particular day was this and this and this hole, right? See how we came all the way down and then we came back up, we fixed this hole and then we couldn't quite make it there. And then once everything was repaired, then we long liquidated, right? So it never follows the same pattern twice, but if we were going to look at this same pattern today, we go, okay, so now I have some basis to look. So I know if I'm not below 2907, I probably don't get a long liquidation. The next part, when I push out this profile, right, is that this is the last anomaly that needs to be fixed on this day. To compare this to that day back a couple of weeks ago, right? If you look, the last anomaly that needed to be repaired was all the way back down here. And this is a really important concept to keep in mind. Notice how we traded over and under this anomaly at the end of the day, and then we pushed up overnight. Why do I know we pushed up overnight? Because we opened up near 29. Actually, we opened up near 2902, but once we got through this area, I promise you, if we go back and look at the overnight, we pushed up before at some point attempting to retest this day's point of control, right? So the whole point is the over-under is very important on this half-hour time frame, right? And I'm going to go back to it now. I'm going to go back and look over here, right? What's the last thing that needs to be fixed? Well, this is the last anomaly right here. And it's already on the chart that's been posted to members, right? That 2905 and a quarter, I'll post that on my blog here shortly so everyone else can see it. That 2905 and a quarter, I'm looking for an over-under type profile to push back up. Okay, so now we know what it needs to look like in order to get below. There's two big hurdles. First of all, we have to get below 2907, and then we have to hold below this 0507, essentially becomes a zone, right? This is the middle anomaly. If you count 1, 2, 3, 4. Usually the middle anomalies are the weaker anomalies. The ones on the edges are the ones that are more important. So now looking at it from the other perspective, what do I need to do to know that we're going to go up or push to the upside? I've got to clear this 2919, this 2921 area. This is a naked volume point of control. This is a naked TPO point of control. And right above it at 2275, it's either 2250 or 2275 on the December contract, is the new all-time high, right? Okay, so all of this is very important. So remember that's a all-time high. That's naked volume point of control. Let me fix this real quick because this is going to come over for my chart. Value area high, value area low. Okay, so in all of this, what would be the most important to me? So in this area here, right? Note that the points of control are almost all in the same place over 1, 2, 3 days. If you took a composite of all 3 days, your point of control is going to land right about 29.12 for the RTH. So that's becoming a pivot point, right? And you can see that when you switch over, you go to if you're looking for me to go trade here, trade there, I'm probably not going to do it because I rely on order flow in the day to make my final decisions, right? I just hate when people sit there and are waiting for me to say that, and I never say it until I actually see the market open. So if you look at that 30-minute chart, you put a line at 29.12, 29.10, 29.12. Just color it, I don't know, blue. Let me put a that didn't work out. Let's try that. There we go. Now if we suck this in, look at that 29.10, 29.12. So you would think, oh, that's a point of control and I can trade there easily. But look what's actually happening at that 29.12. Yes, sometimes you're getting clean rejections, but notice the longer we spend in that 29.10, 29.12, what it's starting to do is just trade above and below it and not actually be a very good place to place a trade. See, initially it was good resistance, right? Support from underneath, support from above. People wanted that 29.10, 29.12 to trade, right? We established by doing this and having it well tested that this was an accepted price from an auction process standpoint. So when we get over here, see how everyone kind of goes, oh, I don't really have a reason to make a particular stand at 29.10, 29.12. We all agree. It's like going to the store and arguing whether a gallon of milk should be $2 or $2.01 or $2.03 or $2.04 or $2.05. No one cares, right? So the longer we stay there at $2.03, $2.04, $2.05, yeah, I want a gallon of milk, or no, I don't. Now, at the price, so again, I'm going to relate this to the auction process, right? Notice when the price falls away from the accepted price, right? We go, oh, a gallon of milk's $1? Yeah, I'll take it. As a matter of fact, give me 5. I drink a lot of milk, right? When the price of milk gets all the way up to $3, everyone's like, damn, I just paid $2 for it. I'm not that thirsty. I'll drink some water, right? I'll wait for it to come back and I'll buy it there at $2. That's what I think is a fair price. Well, now, not only do we think it's a fair price, but we've had so much time for everyone who wants to buy that area that no one's particularly interested in buying or selling there. We're all like, yeah, if you need a gallon of milk, get it. And you're like, well, damn, I bought all the milk I needed last week, right? So we just kind of all shrug our shoulders at that point, saying, I've bought all I want, I've sold all I want. I have to wait for new higher prices or new lower prices or some new piece of information to come back in to help me make a decision. Okay, let's get rid of that chart so I don't clog up my close. So for today, the most important areas on this chart, since we had a long liquidation, remember when I was back over here, so one more piece, right? I'm going to duplicate this. If you'll look back on the blog, this won't take long. I'm going to erase all the lines, right? And we were sitting right here. We were looking at this, and I brought up the chart, and I said, most likely, the note's still there so you can see it. I said it in the room. Between 29.08 and 29.22, 29.20, and then 29.22.75. I said this whole thing essentially becomes a chop zone. And when you have a bunch of areas on top that need to be repaired, the market tends to grind through those areas, right? And not hit a particular location. Why is this important to your day trading? Because you have to understand what kind of price action to anticipate and what kind of move. All these areas, which are represented by these lines, let you know that it's going to be choppy through there. It's extremely difficult just to slice through butter because these represent areas where traders are generally trapped, right? So then when you take that chart and then you scroll to the right, look how the market treated each of those areas, right? Hold on a sec. Look how we treated each of those areas. See how we just get right to each area and we're taking them out one at a time. We come up to that 29.08 area, reject. Then we come up to 29.14, reject. Then we come up to 29.16, reject. So what's left and what can you guess? 29.19, then the all-time high up here, and then there's a 29.20, 50, and we're taking them out one piece at a time versus, right, what you would like to see happen, which is just go, hey, we're going to open up here and open drive clear through here and gap away. This is what makes that area hard. Now, looking at that, and now looking at the downside, my major issue at looking at this chart right now and what I'm highly aware of is that there is 0 untested points of control all the way down to 28.65 to 28.63. Now, it's virtually impossible to hit that today. We closed yesterday at 29.12, I believe was our closing price. Okay, so take 29.12 and I subtract 20 points. That puts me at 29.02, 28.92, okay, which is the very bottom of the range. If I take away 30 points, which would be a huge extension, puts me at 82. Now, here's the issue. What's at 82? There's an uncompleted anomaly. We tested the top of it. We didn't test the bottom. So there is support down there. It's not very good support, but it's on such a stretch. It's likely to hold. 28.91 is this week's Monday swing low, right? So anticipate an over-under at the week's low, right? We tend to get responsive buyers there. First time in, people try to hold it, and traps tend to create big pushes back in. And we're just forming a giant balance area, and that giant balance area appears to go from 28.92 all the way up to 28.19. So your highest odds locations, right? And we're at the top of the market. So shorts do work. They're not as easy to set up. I'm going to show you that in a second. Longs tend to work great. This area down here, right, is going to provide your best shot at getting a big fat rotation back to the upside, right? This area up here, if you can get it set up, is going to provide your best opportunity to potentially get short with the risk that you bust out into a trend day up, that you can't eliminate the risk. It's just, it is what it is, right? So last piece of that formula, let me think this through. Up, over, under, we covered, extension area. If we close at 29.12, right, 10 up would put you right at 29.22, 20 up will put you at 32, right, and 30 up will put you at 42. Okay, if you're looking for exhaustion and you're willing to short new all-time highs, that is your highest odds area, that 32 to 42. Market has a really hard time pushing more than 20 or 25 points under the best of circumstances. It can. So this area and this area are your highest odds. This area is in a giant balance area. Expect two-sided trading all the way through this, right? We all agree on price up here. There's no question. I would stay out of that 29.10 to 29.12 area and either let it establish above or below and then make my trading decisions, because I don't want to be chopped in an area we all agree in price, right? And I'm looking for longs. So importantly, right, if I go back to my regular chart now, there we go. So to summarize and make it really clear what I'm looking for, if we consolidate above 29.17, my assumption is an attempt at least to push out and to get 10 and 20 points to the upside, right? Consolidating underneath 29.07 is a little bit different story. I expect responsive buyers between 10, 20, and particularly between 20 and 25 points to the downside. I expect responsive buyers. But importantly, if you're looking for a short, if we get quickly underneath 29.07, let's say in the first half hour, and you can get the short set up via deltas, push to the downside. I don't expect us to go anywhere very fast. My guess is we're going to hit this 29.19, and you're going to find responsive sellers because the market likes to act in a repetitive behavior for short periods of time. Quick note, if we get above 29.19 and we don't reject this 29.20, 29.19 and we can't get back below, watch out for trend day up as all these shorts get squeezed out at new highs, right? So we'll know what to look for. Cumulative delta, right, will be over 20,000 usually. We'll have the biggest, highest delta of the day on the breakout is another big sign that we're breaking to the upside. A lack of counter rotation back to the downside, an inability to trade below the first 5-minute bar, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. All of those add up, and when you see them consolidating upstairs, we end up with the PA that we had yesterday, which I'm going to go over right now, which is, if you look in the morning, how am I doing on time? 6 minutes. That's all I wanted to be done. Let's get over here. There we go. I'm on the wrong date already. Sorry, guys. 1 second. I'll catch it up. There we go. Okay, so yesterday morning I laid it out. For those of you who are new, if you want to go see it, it's on YouTube. I laid out the setup. This is going to suck, so we're going to duplicate this chart. Erase all lines. Yes. Okay, chart settings. Okay, there we are. Just 1 second. Got my morning AM meds. Don't want to start the day without focus. There we go. And I actually do take Adderall, and I take it for the right reasons as opposed to the wrong reasons. I'm totally ADD and dyslexic. Okay, so if we look, coming into the open yesterday, first thing I identified when we came in is I said, hey, we are trending up out of London. Here's London over here, right? Made a little dip, but if you can look all the way through in that pre-market, we were clearly trending to the upside, right? If you look, I said pre-market. I'm on the 18th. I am. And here's our open. And what I said was to look for the biggest delta pre-market. And if we got above it, that would be the launch. So the biggest delta, hands down, was this guy right here. Okay. Off. This guy right here. There's your close above, right? There's your backside test of that pre-market delta. And if you look, right, if you look right before the open, excuse me, I stand corrected because we had a different one. I'm sorry, we had two that were important. This is what we had right pre-market. I knew I had a big one down there. And I said off the open, right, which was 8:30, it's this bar right here. I said, if you were aggressive in the first 30 minutes and you are right taking the stop, which the entry would have been 2 ticks in front of that, right? 1 to 2 ticks. So you're looking at 28, 29, 50, 97.50 to 28 to 3/4, somewhere in there, right? And your stop needed to be 2 ticks behind at 28.95. So you're basically looking at a 3-point stop, 2 3/4, right? In exchange for your 3/4 in risk, you got an open drive higher, and potentially, since it never came back on you, you got a, I believe, a 14-point, let's see, 3, 10, 17-point, 16-point, 19-point roll to the upside with no heat. We then broke the biggest delta on the top side. We backside tested. We came in and popped a bigger delta, right? And we tried to squeeze underneath. So this is really important. If you recall, I took the short right here on the backside test. I was late and screwed it up. I took it back over here instead of grabbing it right here. For those who grabbed the first backside test of the biggest delta, they got the 2 points. We never get underneath the 24-hour VWAP. This is the best thing I did all day yesterday. When we closed back above right here, I took the long. I think I took the long here, and I took the backside test. I was able to get my 2 and 4. Where I screwed that up is I exited it all at approximately 29.10. I don't remember my exact series of exits. I goofed it up. I thought we were going to get underneath this 41.11, and the point of control was right at the bottom of that bar. It never closed underneath. And what I should have done there, I got tired. My wife was sick the night before. I couldn't go, but if I just simply took the next bar and the close back above, I could have easily tacked on another 5 points onto my trading day. I then left. I was wiped out. I had to go to the bank and take care of some business. If you look, this is the biggest delta of the day, at least what I had on top. There's your backside test, test 1, test 2 with nice delta divergence. You didn't get that pattern complete, by the way. It wasn't perfect, but it was trend day up. And then if you look finally on the third test back on that same guy, all 3 of those gave beautiful counter rotations. And then as Bill pointed out, this is the biggest negative delta on the day. I usually don't trade it, but Bill's correct. That's a good pattern. If you distinguish between the biggest delta versus the biggest positive delta and the biggest negative delta, this pattern happens a lot on top. You want to look for it for the roll back down. I didn't short that. I wasn't here to short it, but I thought it was a reasonable trade. And if you look at that from overnight perspective, hold on, I've marked up this chart. We have not gotten back there. Have we gotten back there yet? No, we have not gotten back there. And we've just come back to retest that 05 area from the break earlier in the day. So for this morning, with 3 minutes left to go in the open, let's get rid of this chart. Get rid of this chart. And let's get rid of this chart. Now let's leave this chart. I want to refer to it later. Okay. So coming back to this chart, pre-open with my key levels. Value area high, value area low, already kicked in there. Okay, and let us, don't need this. There we go. Okay, pre-market, looking at what came in around me, I see that I have a big fat delta right there at the bottom underneath. So I'm going to say the same thing, okay? If you're willing to lose money, take a stop at the open. This is your pre-market right in front of that value area low, biggest delta from the pre-market session. If you're willing to lose money, your entry is at the top of that bar, which puts you at 29.0850. You may want to front run it. Your stop is a little trickier on this, okay? You either have to plan to take this twice or take it in with simple. If you just take it in at the top with a 2-point stop and it works, and you can roll on with the rest of your day and not let it phase you, that's a great trade location. That's a big fat delta for pre-market. I would expect that you get a response out of that, and first to push back to that 29.10, 29.12, right? The debate would be, do you put your stop 2 ticks below the 29.07, come down and just test the Globex low, and then you get stopped and it runs? So my answer to that question is, if I'm going to take that trade pre-market, I am simply going to go in there, put the 2-point stop in. If I get stopped, I'm going to shrug my shoulders. I'm willing to take it a second time, right? In the first half hour, that's a good delta there, the first market. So I'm willing to take that trade. What's your checklist on that? If that stop ruins your day and you're in a hole and you're going to go home and go forget about it, don't take the freaking trade, right? Let it burn the first half hour. There were plenty of trades through the course of the day yesterday. You do not have to trade the first 30 minutes to make your day work for you, right? If you're going to trade that first half hour, realize what you are doing, evaluate, and this is one of the big places smaller accounts and newer traders have. What does your market look like when you're going to have a big day, right? And then there's a counter to that. If we close underneath this guy, we're closing underneath value area low, and it sets us up for, we just opened, by the way, it sets us up for a potential drive lower, right? So really what you want to do is be very, very flexible. You get a lot of noise in the first 30 minutes. My guess is that first trade is good for 1 to 2 points, maybe more, right? So I grab my 2 points, move my stop to break even, cross my fingers. Odds are you get stopped on your trailer because we usually chop. We're opening up inside of value, okay? So that's my plan so far today, and I'm looking for the next order flows to set up and let me know how I'm trading on copper. I need copper to close below and hold below. Hold on a second here. Why is this not showing up properly? Hold on a second here. Chart settings. Settings 5. Cancel. Chart settings. Advanced settings. Okay, that's weird. Hold on a second here. It's not just simply not there. Let me make sure I did this right. Hold on a second here. I did. So on copper, above 2.7350, I'm looking long. Below 2.7210, I'm looking short. Pretty damn straightforward on that. Nothing else. We now have a new, almost an equal delta on top, by the way, on ES, right? We're above that 29.13, the logical target holding above. That's the point of control, right? Above the 24-hour VWAP. The logical target on this is that value area high. right? Which is also Globex high. Back in, actually, it's not even Globex high. Hold on a second here. We're testing Globex high, right? Logical target is to test at 29.17, consolidation above 29.17, and I'd look for us to retest and grab the breakout, right? So again, it would have been nice if we opened up, tagged this bar right here, and then pushed. It would have been a nice 4 or 5 points and didn't set up, right? You're now going to have a bigger delta intraday. Here's the open, so I can mark it off for you, right? And now you have the first 5 minutes. So it's unfortunate we didn't backside test immediately. There we go. I can see where the open is, and that's the biggest delta so far. So I'm going to leave the YouTube room open for the first half hour. Everything popped right off the open. So 1 second. And there we go. So let's see where we go after the first half hour. We are just, looks like they're attempting an open drive higher, actually. Right? And if you take this same chart, and we'll make this easy. There you go. A nice fat bar right out the gate. We'll just leave that small like that so everyone can see it. Right? Above or below the first 5 minutes is also an easy way to tell where you want to head. So same bar. There's that's your biggest delta to start the day off with. It's right at the bottom of this first 5 minute bar. You can see delta is pretty strong right out of the gate. And we do have econ, I believe. So I expect that high to get broken. Like, I didn't think anything in the last couple of weeks has been bearish. I've been arguing against the bearish side for a while, or arguing for the bullish side. I really would have liked to tap. I would have taken that. That's a fat delta right before the open. I really would have liked to have taken that long. So didn't give me the opportunity, and that's okay. Give me a second to get my dome set up, guys. Get my speakers turned off so I don't hear bells ringing. There we go. One. Okay. Let's see what we do. Right up to value area high, right? Rejected right off of it. So just a matter of figuring out which one they're going to do, right? That's all you have to do to get that right. Above value area high, we have potential for trend day. You're going to run smack into that resistance that I laid out right before. You got to get above that. I think that 29.19 is what we have next. $19. What we have after this value area high that we tend to run into. And Q kind of blah. Not really open drive higher, just kind of sitting there. Nothing. We're coming to backside test that biggest delta after the open. Again, this is just a nothing for me. I'm just waiting to see how it trays out. Thank you, rolling down a bit towards 7,500. And Q with a nasty opening bar, guys. So I don't know if there's news on some company earning or something like that, but it's trading totally. It's actually had a nasty first 5 minute, 10-minute rotation versus ES just hanging up near the high. You can see how we're holding this delta. If you're looking for an aggressive long, your entry's right on top of that with a stop 2 ticks below. Again, I'm just going to decide to pass on the first 30 minutes. See where they end up trading it. And NQ is moving in pretty big whips, 10-point whips. So just be aware of that if you're trading it. That's brutal to trade when you're going up and down 12 points in less than a minute. And we rolled on NQ from the open. If you look at your chart, you'll see that we had a high right before pre-market at 75.48. We just traded 7,500. That's a 50-point whip. And it was quick too after the open. It almost all came after the open. So guys who are looking for a straight drive back up on NQ, that was a nasty, nasty open. I don't like trading NQ when it's that hard and that fast, unless I just nail the top. I want to see if there's anything on top that would have helped me. $387, $394. You had the biggest delta. Here, I'll share my other screen. Oh, there we go. That was your biggest delta pre-market. See how we opened up right at 8:30? All right, that 394 was sitting right there. Came down. If you try to buy it, if you try to tag it right on top, you just got swept. And then as soon as we got underneath it, bye-bye. Thank you for participating. Now you have a 477 on bottom. Right there. See how we got above, backside test. Now we figure out whether we can go or not. But that's your resistance above. That's where we're sitting right now. We'll see who ends up holding sway over what in that market. But when I see us whipping like that, wow, I get concerned. I don't like getting run over. I'm looking for potential copper short here. If this bar closes, the stop will be a little bit bigger than normal. I'm going to short that. 2.7325. 2.732. I'm short. My stop is that high, 7.7375. Okay, so I'm gonna write that down. My short, right? And I'm being aggressive because I'm shorting the top end of value yesterday. Let me post that up. All right, it's copper. I take multiple stops on it sometime. Stop. 7.380. So if I get tagged out on that stop, I will cost me roughly $150 a contract. I'll draw it out right now to make sure I got it right. $125 a car is what that will cost. That's my expense for the trade. Okay, and my target is to get down to the other end of the range, which puts me at 2.7210. And if you want to look just the bottom of the range pre-market, you're shooting for 2.7270. Again, that trade has a huge RR. My win rate still tends to be around 70% on it. but I do take stops, right? If you're trying to trade it to perfection, right? Save yourself some time. Your real stop can be if you just simply close above 2.7350. I wanted to make sure because we've been chopping just above value area, but unable to close above. And the flip side of that is if we, here, I'll share the chart. How am I going to drag this over? If we see how we haven't been able to get a green point of control above, if we get a green bar on this smaller range with a point of control above, I'm long. Okay, I will flip that position to the long side. My stop's right here, but any close with the green bar above, I will flip and go long on that trade. I'm comfortable being short, but that's a critical area right there. If we fail to get underneath, I expect us to travel all the way down to value area low or lower. So that market is definitely in a bear market, not a bull market. But we traded on such small time frames that I'm not sure that it matters, bull market or bear market. So that's my pivot point. As you see, there's the fall away. I'm hoping we're just going to fall straight down to 2.7210. And if I get that part of the trade, I'll have approximately in P&L per contract 7320. So right here, I get down here, give me approximately $262 per contract. So I have almost a 2-to-1 on that. And you can, of course, take it wherever you feel like taking it. Obviously, they've been trying to hold it at that 2.7280 all night. And I had copper come back against me not once, but twice yesterday. Okay, so both times for pretty big profit give backs, but that's my instrument where I push and swing. It tends to start going in a direction and keeps trucking. So I'm pretty comfortable on that process. So again, most of my stops are in place. I don't care about getting stopped on that product. I get it right so much of the time, or I've been getting it right so much of the time that I just expect stops to be part of the deal. Okay, let us get back to what we need to get back to here. There we go. So in the meantime, we can't get below 22.91. We're right in that 29.10, 29.12, right above that chop area. Manage your risk appropriately. So I'm going to take a scale on that copper we pushed down pretty quickly at 2.7325. One scale, small. Okay, again, I'm going to try and push that trade. Okay, it's almost down to the 2.7210. Okay. Figure out where the heck. Why is it every time I'm trying to grab this, I'm fumbling? And again, we were just chopping up there. And we're right at the value area high. They attempted an open drive higher, and we're obviously on hold. So the only trade I had was the backside test of that 29.08 the first time through. And that's now been, that's equal to this bar. I'm just simply looking for, and we now have a new high delta, biggest delta on top, this 2,500. So close above, backside test, push up, close below, backside test, push lower. we're just in a chop zone, so worth waiting, right? And if you're trading in Q, I'm telling you, you are having one hell of a time down here. If you didn't catch that original short for the last 10 minutes, the whip has just been real, right? 75.12 to 7,500. 1, 2, 3 times, right? You really had to catch that break properly. And you'll notice what triggered it was this close below right here. Just created that wish. Now people are trying to either catch the bottom or catch the top. This is the biggest delta, a smaller range bar. That's 600 right there. That's your new kingmaker right there. That's a big delta. I would expect the first time back to that to see some rejection off of that area, right? So that brings you back to roughly 75.22 against 75.28 would be your upside target on that, which is 20 points away, right? I see why people are trying to trade it, but and that just gives me indigestion trying to figure out that in the first half hour. And copper is so much of an easier trade for a high volatility, for a big volatility product. Okay. I want to make sure the number I'm putting in there is the number that's correct. That is correct. There we go. So one. Hey, you're very welcome, Maury. Nice trade, brother. Yeah, that area was really good. I thought particularly good trade location. Now we'll see if the trailer can stick. I might end up going, wow, I should have covered more, but that's my entire life. And Q continues its roll lower, guys. And ES continues to hold that level. right? So NQ is rolling down. ES is actually holding up pretty good. So what does that tell you almost immediately? You've got a market that does not match, right? Something's up with that. Be aware. Okay. These two markets are just simply not matching up right now. And you can see the difference there. There's NQ, right? You want a bigger picture? Here, I'll slide it down for you. That's NQ. Looks ugly, right? So we're looking for the biggest delta or some formation on the bottom to help us out, and I just don't have it yet. So I'll see if we come up with any kind of formulation. This is still the biggest delta sitting right up here at that 75.20 area. So that's where I imagine if you're getting long, that's what you're shooting for, right? So I'll keep an eye on it. I'll let y'all know. In the meantime, my guess is close above here with a 1,000 or better delta, half, push. I just hate this whole area. I just think this whole area is going to be overall choppy. So I'm calling the setup. What I wanted was this, right? And now I'm even more on in a reserved mode because NQ's falling apart and ES just sits there, right? So there's two conclusions you can draw from that. There's rotation out of NQ into ES. If that's true, what usually ends up happening is NQ rolls, and then once the rotation's done, ES rolls with it. Or ES is actually stronger and it's going to drag NQ up and it's going to break out and push to the upside. Either way, I want to be above 29.17 if I'm taking a long. So if I take a long here, I'm going to slam into all of this right above, right? Wouldn't you rather get above this noise than find a backside test for a push, right? So you know you have support, you know you have VWAP here, and you know you're chopping back and forth for a long period of time through here, right? So you have to be able to look at that and go, is that a clear setup? Is that what I want? Or is that not a clear setup and I'm going to wait for my best setup, right? Trading is mostly about waiting for your clear setups, right? And nothing else. So that's my 2 cents about that. $477 is the biggest delta I saw downstairs on NQ, right? And they've tried to close above it 1, 2. This is the third time, and they've stopped you on every single try that you've had. So that's a no-go for me for trying to capture that long. That pattern sucks. But they keep stopping you out. I hate it. And again, I'm trying to break 2.7210, so I'll take another scale at 2.72155 on copper. Does anyone in the room have a different read, guys? And by the way, Peter, awesome trade on the QQQ puts. I would target that 75.20. That's your sweet spot up there, if it can get up there. And remember, you may consider dragging your stop to break even on copper, right? The best trades on that thing, just go and never come back. There's at least 2 to 4 setups a day on that. You don't have to make any one trade absolutely work, right? And you've definitely had a chance to have a nice fat scale on that. Hey, Daniel, if you're in the room, I sent you a message. Matter of fact, I'll follow my own advice and drag my stops to break even on copper. That's how it goes, Daniel. And you know what the cause of that is, brother? When you come off process, it throws your timing off, right? And then you just have to go and reset, right? It's part of the process. Just take a deep breath. You're cool. So interesting. ES didn't roll with NQ. NQ is now trying to roll up. We're backside testing value area high on ES. Again, I think this whole area is shop-a-rama crap. Remember, very top of the range, tightest ranges, guys, right? We don't get a lot of rotation. So if you come in expecting like, hey, I'm going to make 20 points on ES at the high, you're going to have usually in order to accomplish that, you're going to have to capture the high and let it pay you all the way through, right? And it's usually going to have to be a capture the high to a break to new high because the rolls down are difficult to make work, right? Also, when it's tight in the morning, realize usually loosens up in the afternoon and you have easier trades, right? This is about as tight as it gets. We've been in a 3-point range pretty much. Stops down to break even on copper, which means it'll just be what was a pretty awesome trade. It'll just be like, if it gets stopped, I'm glad I got paid. I didn't scale very heavy. So the other thing you're doing here, guys, remember if we get underneath that 10-12 area now, right? And underneath that 5-minute bar, you're trapping buyers, late buyers all through here. If they don't get that break to the upside to get the scale, all these guys are going to puke if you get underneath them, or there's a chance that they'll puke underneath. The obvious assumption is we're going to break new highs, right? If I were a retail trader at minimum, I'd be going like, yeah, here comes a break to new highs. Right. And you're going to push to capture those because in your head, when you're a weaker trader, you're like, oh, it's going to go up 100 points. I'm going to catch the break. I'm going to make $1 billion. Then you're like, oh, I'm underneath. I got to get out. I'm going to lose money. Get rid of the harsh lights. And on NQ, that's another like 3 minute, 10-point whip right there, almost 12-point whip in 3 minutes. It's not even funny. That's just hard. You can really annihilate it and count quickly on that. Here, I'll show you. This is a really small range bar, guys, like really tiny. Each bar represents 6 points, right? This whole thing, that's 901. You hit the high, that's 907. You rotated from 75.11 all the way down to 74.95, 16 points, right? That's $300 a contract right there, and just insta, right? And if you shorted, you thought, I got it, I'm going to short against this. Same thing. That's very difficult NQ trading, in my eyes at least. That 7155 is beckoning. On copper. Why did I choose 7155? That was the low. I stand corrected. Value area low is 7.210. You should take a scale in front of that. So change the scale. Sorry, guys, mistake. Make the scale 2.721. Let's see what's right above that. 2.1. Make it 7.220. I'll just come 2 ticks here earlier. 2.7220. That'll be heavy scale. Okay. You're 1 tick away from that. You should be able to get it. 2 ticks away. A little bit more downside pressure and you'll have that swept. And then your trailers, if you can break that 7.210, if you get a point of control close underneath, watch out, because that's we time. You're underneath value area low from prior day. You can get a hard roll to the downside on that copper. NQ's looking ugly, 74.84. That's minus. My NQ down. Damn. $44. Not a pretty open. I did not get scaled on copper. Hopefully they come and help me in a minute. Missed. And that's not unusual that someone would try to grab that value area low. ES is dipping into a big delta, right? Again, that's the volume point of control and the TPO point of control, right? You're about to close with the point of control underneath your biggest delta right here, right? Hasn't done it yet, but it has. Your entry there if you want to short. So I'm being clear. The process here is short, 2 ticks in front of the backside stop half. So your short would be half here, stop 2 ticks above, right? So your entry, your first on the half entry, your first entry is going to be that 29.11 quarter, right? So really 29.11. Your backside entry is going to be 29.13. That's going to be an average 29.12, and your stop is going to be 29.15. It'll be a 3-point stop on a full-size trade. Please be aware of that. Okay, it's not a 2, it's a 3. Okay, but you get the roll down, you're going to get paid pretty nicely. So I am going to take that trade. That's a normal setup for me. The only thing I don't like about it is it's in the noise area. There that is. I'm short 29.11. I have my other one sitting back there at 29.1250 limit to sell. Okay, stop's already in place, buy stop. Yes, I could get whipped around here. 29.15. Putting that up on the board, yeah, sure. Feel like I actually came at 29.11 and a quarter. That's where it filled it. I sent it, filled it. Oh, sure. About 3 points on the stop. Natural target to the downside will be that value area low, right? And obviously my first scale will be 2 points, not even a point of conversation on that. So I'm a short half size. I'll manage the half size as if it were a full size, right? And I'm still willing to take that 29.1250 on the backside test if and when it gets there. So first scale is 29.09 and a quarter. I'm already there. You don't like the trade or you don't like shorting on top? Just I don't like shorting on top. No problem. It's weird that NQ's falling apart. And ES is kind of like, I don't know. Nothing done on that. I'm still at the 1250. NQ's testing yesterday's lows. Again, if you don't like the rule's the same. If you're not committed to taking the stop, you shouldn't be in the trade. Right. And if you don't like how the trade's setting up or NQ's rolled down and ES hasn't rolled down or whatever's in your head, right? The important thing is you get the trade right in your head first before you take the trade. And so if it's playing out in a way you're not comfortable with or you don't understand or it would ruin your day and you go, well, I don't short the very highs of the market, right? Then you shouldn't be in the trade, right? It's got to be okay for you. You got to make it okay for you first to take the trade, right? I never got scaled on copper. I haven't gotten scaled on ES. Underneath value area low, right? My other half of this trade sitting there at 1250. My stop's at 15. Does anyone know, is Apple getting crushed, or what's driving the NQ side of the deal? Anyone? Whoever grabbed that short, that was a nice payday. I didn't. I just need one more point to grab that first scale. They're not letting me have it, so I may have to work this the hard way. On copper at 2.7290, there's 115 contracts on the ask. That is an insane amount of contracts on copper. It's huge, right? So if you look at your dome, 115 contracts sit. Like normally you'll see 10, sometimes 30, but 115 is huge size on copper. That's being offered there. My stop obviously is just above that. But that gives me, kind of warms my heart to see that. I'm watching for big deltas at the bottom. I have a 455 at the low on NQ. It's not a really massive delta, and there's no delta divergence at the lows yet. I'm watching for it. I just don't have it. So obviously, if NQ reverses, I have a good chance of getting stopped on this ES because it did not roll with it. I was going to play the tray out like I normally do, right? Half stop. It's frustrating to get stopped on those trades, but I know the moment I come off process, I'm going to regret it, right? Coming up to backside test to low of the first 5-minute bar. Hopefully, I'm about to get tagged on this second half. Anyone get filled? Filled. Stop 15 now, average 12. So now, new target for scale is 10, right? I'll get my 2 points off a full-size position. Apple down 1.3%. Comes to 29.10, potentially. Woo! There's got to be some news out there, guys. Caution. I didn't get the 10, but we're whipping. Everything just jumped. So caution and heads up. Looks like I'm going to get a stop. I don't know what the news was, but caution. Damn, if I get clipped on news again, that's going to suck. That'll be the third time in 3 weeks. We whipped down, then we whipped up. I did not get flat on that. It's acting as if there's news up there. Stops in place, won't move it. I'm not stopped, nor am I filled. Came close. I came within a tick. And right into the chop zone again on ES. Copper didn't get stopped. Market's trading weird, guys. That's all I can tell you. We're jumping levels. So is there some kind of announcement going on, or am I missing something out there? because we're jumping weird. No idea. There's something floating around up there. It has to be on that, and it has to be weighing within Apple. So you got me uncertain. Stops in place. I have no idea what's going on here. It is just weird, wicked whipping. Right. So everyone knows where my stop is. Right. I won't be happy if I get stopped, but I would take that trade 100 times in a row. Right. That usually pays just fine. I missed my scale by a tick. Okay. And I'm totally comfortable with it. Right. And I'd stay away from Apple like it was Apple NQ, which is essentially Apple, like the plague at the moment. Looks like I'm going to get tapped on this copper trade. So some kind of a news announcement had to be circling around Apple. I don't know what the deal is. I'm looking to see if a really big delta pops up on Apple. On Apple. NQ. Gosh, that thing just blended in my mind, don't I? Okay, let's see if we can get the roll down here on ES. By the way, a lot of that 113 cars was taken at that 2.7290 on copper. Let's go ES. Man, we're in a chop zone. And so this is an environment, right, where you look at it and you go, hey, I don't like the whippy back and forth, or I don't like that. I can't tell what's going on. Then you can either take half that trade off where you shorted it, or you can close the position and go, I don't like what it looks like, right? Everyone knows in the room, I'm going to leave my stop as is. I am 100% confident that pays me huge long term. But it's all right, right? If you're going to take that stop and go, I knew it was going to stop me, right? Those are the key words. I knew it was going to stop me, right? Those are key words that you can go, okay, I wasn't willing to accept the risk on the trade, and you take the trade out, right? That's totally acceptable. What's not acceptable, right, is that you either get upset that then it rolls, right, or you get upset that if you decide to stay with it, it stops you. Upset is all right, but responding to the upset part isn't, right? That those parts aren't okay. You just want to stay balanced in the trade, right? To make your decision one way or the other. Obviously, this is a news-driven environment. Something's going on, whether we know it or not, with Apple, right? And NQ versus nothing in ES, right? It just didn't respond to the rotation down in NQ. Like I said, sometimes that's a sign of the rotation out of NQ into ES. Sometimes it just takes a while for ES to respond to what NQ is doing, right? I find it easier just to have a process and follow the process because it doesn't require that much thinking once I'm in the trade. Just let it work, right? Just like I'm doing with copper. I either could have covered the whole thing down by that near that 2.7210. I thought I could tag it exactly. I just missed and they didn't fill me, right? So I've had copper come back on me. This will now be the second day if this trade gets filled. Right, I did take one scale, but I had more to take if I'd wanted it there. I'm gonna have to do a shoulder shrug on that, right? And go, okay, I can either start scalping it and missing the large moves that I know I can capture there, right? And go off my what my plan is for that in exchange for taking smaller profits, right? Or I can stick to what I believe should be my process, right? So it's going to take another scale. It's gone up. It's in a bear market. I think it can roll down below that 2.710. But until it does, right, I run the risk of getting it run back up against me. And I've accepted the risk. Okay. Same thing. I'm still at 29.10 on my first scale and waiting patiently. You'd think 2 points would be easy to get, but it turns out it's like pulling your own tooth. I honestly can't tell you if I'm going to get stopped on this trade or not. Well, when I said 10, 9, 10, 12 would be a chop area, I wasn't actually meaning literally all day. Wow. I missed that. Okay, guys. Guys on YouTube, I'm going to shut it down now. You'll know if you see it tick 29.15 in print, I'm stopped. If you see it tick 29.10, you know I've gotten half off, and then I'll decide whether I'm going to move my stop to break even, net break even, or leave it as is. Okay, and if you see it sit here all day and it never goes below my average price, you'll see me frustrated. So I don't know what else to say about that. So copper worked out nicely. It's come all the way back, but I'll take that trade every single time. Right, that's fine. I have no problem with that trade whatsoever. That's a good trade, and I have no problem with this ES trade actually either. That's a good trade too. The majority of the time, it just whatever it's doing, it's not paying me right now. So I'm just kind of stuck in no man's land. So if y'all like to join us in the room, send me an email at tradertough@gmail.com. Happy to extend you a 5-day pass. Trade smart, whatever you do. Know who you are. Know what your goals are and how much you're willing to risk, right? And then follow that rule, right? Everyone loses money from time to time. No one does this perfectly. I'm going to assume that my stop is coming up on this ES since they weren't able to roll it down. And I will go look for my next trade. It's just 3 points, totally manageable. So thank y'all. Have a great day. Trade safe.